Oh shit.
Did you get popped?
Yeah, I did.
There's one.
Got one?
Yep.
Good one?
Yep.
There you go. Still got him. Want the net?
Fucking trees. Fuck. My A-Rig's in a tree. Got the trolling motor on full speed.
Just keep him pinned. That's a good one. There you go.
Hell yeah. That's how we do it. In the sticks with an A-Rig. Boom. Money. All right, guys. So today we are out here. It's pre-spawn. We've got a nice, good warming trend happening. So these fish are starting to move up into the shallows. One of my favorite ways to catch them is on a spinnerbait when they first move up. But something that I've learned over the last few years is, you know, Jeff, I love an A-Rig, right? So this rig kind of combines a spinnerbait and an A-Rig. It lets me fish it really shallow in this brush and these sticks. Most of the time people think of A-Rigs as deep water, right? And they're certainly great at that, but I love fishing these A-Rigs super shallow. I'm gonna show you guys how I do it, what we do, and hopefully catch a few more like this. Stud, Jeff. Awesome. All right, nice big pre-spawn fat female moving up, looking to feed. That's a stud.
That is a good
Yeah, it's a nice one. All right, thanks, Mama. All right, let's keep going, Jeff. Let's break down exactly what I'm doing so you guys know what it is. So, I mean, everybody knows when they move up in the shallows that a spinnerbait is one of the best ways to catch them. What's nice about a spinnerbait, it's relatively easy. It's cast and wind. There's not a lot of technique involved to it. It kind of creates its own action. So really where the technique comes in is in the cast. You got to pick the right angles, you got to pick the right lane. And we're doing the same thing with this A-Rig. Now this is a HogFarmer. This is the mop deuce rig. Okay, so what it is it basically has 5 arms of blades. So it's kind of like a 5-arm spinnerbait up here. And then it has 2 arms that let me put little swim baits on it. So I have 4-inch OSP Dolive Shads. That's always my starting point. I love that swim bait. We're just gonna start with white because I need to start somewhere. So the water's a little off colored. White gives me a little bit of body, which I like. If they don't eat white right away, I might switch to something more natural, more bait fish pattern, or I might do 1 and 1 and see which one they eat. But we're gonna roll with this, just a little 1/4 ounce head. I've got this on the P5 Tequila Bacarrac. So this is one of the techniques that I love this rod for. It's a 7-foot rod that's rated up to 4 ounces. But as you can see, you know, we're in some thick stuff in here. So we're gonna cram the boat in. We're gonna make little tight little casts. And I like this shorter rod because I can just do little flips, little roll casts, little pitches, but still manage a big bait like this where normally you'd have like a 7.5 or 8-foot rod. It's just too much rod for in here. We're throwing on 20 pound Sunline Sniper, 7-to-1 gear ratio. You could also get by with an 8-to-1 gear ratio. And we're basically just throwing this thing like we would throw a spinnerbait, right? We're just kind of casting and winding. So there's not anything super fancy. We're just kind of throwing out, right? We're just kind of getting those blades to spin and we're just kind of just straight retrieve. Really what's the hardest part about this, or the most technical part about this, I should say, is choosing the angle, right? Is being able to cast and make a good cast and knowing that you want it to come by this lane, you want it to come by this bank. So we just caught that one. There's just this little channel, this little 4 or 5 foot lane where you have bank and trees and just open area for a fish to ambush, right? So every once in a while with this bait, we'll do the same thing we do with the spinnerbait, right? We're gonna kind of just get on a straight retrieve, get those blades kind of going, and then every once in a while we're just gonna give it kind of a hard turn. And that hard turn is just gonna get that rig to kind of just move and look like bait fish getting out of the way. Let's run out of the bank, see if we can get some more. Another one? Yeah. So we're fishing on a lake that notoriously, it's just famous for spinnerbaits. So, you know, if there's You know, we're out here during the week right now, there's probably 60 boats on the water, right? So of those 60 boats, guaranteed all 60 of those boats have a spinnerbait of some kind tied on, right? So these fish see a lot of the same thing, and for good reason. It's a great way to pick this kind of stuff apart, but this lets me just present something slightly different in a different way that looks more like a school of fish coming through. I really like this technique even more as we get into post-spawn and the fish are, you know, seeing fry, they're seeing shad spawn, that kind of stuff, because this little wad just looks so natural, like a little ball of bait. It just draws their attention. It's something that a normal conventional thing like a spinnerbait, which is 2 blades, can't really fully mimic, if that makes sense. So it's just a different way, right? Just a different way to present something that's dope. So let's see if we can keep going. I gotta think that if the fish are staging, Jesus Christ, that wind. This is the shit that the biggest fish in the lake are gonna pull up right now, at this water level. Normally, I think,
Got him.
there's a good one.
Big one. Keep him on.
All right. Nice. All right. There we go, another one. This is just such a fun way to catch them, CJ.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah. So, like I talked about earlier, this is just a different way of being able to fish, you know, places where you traditionally would throw a spinnerbait or some other kind of reaction. It just gives them something different and it's fun. You know, it's just a really fun way to get them. So I'm gonna let this guy back. All right, buddy. Thank you. All right, so fun. So if you guys find yourself, you know, this time of the year, really from pre-spawn all the way into early summer, you know, anytime that the fish are moving up and bait is what they're looking for, this can just be a really fun way to fish. And really, it's a great way if you guys are fishing, you know, places that are real fertile. You know, this is a rocky lake we're at today. It's full of like wooded bushes, right? So the majority of humans would never even think to throw an A-rig in the places that we're throwing it today. And, you know, maybe you could catch these fish on a spinnerbait or doing other things, but you know, we've been throwing it and we haven't been getting the bites. And then you pick this back up and boom, you catch them. So it's just something a little different. Really, like I talked about, you know, what this is it's just giving them the whole school of fish instead of just one fish at a time, right? So especially during post-spawn, when those fish get used to seeing tiny, tiny bait, right? Because, you know, the bass are moving up, but shad are moving up, carp are moving up, you know, all these species are moving up at the same time. And you get all that fry in the shallows and it's, you know, half an inch big and there's thousands of them. You know, this is just one of those few things that I've found that mimics a school of bait so perfectly, but is big enough and strong enough that I could still throw it on 20 pound. Like you don't want to get a hold of a 5-pounder in this wood with less, you know, with a spinning rod or something really finesse, right? That you would have to do if you're throwing like one little thing. So this is a great way to do it. So again, it's the HogFarmer Mop Deuce Rig. You know, what's great is if you live in a state like we do where you can only have 2 baits, it works great. But even if you live in a place where you can, you know, have 100, this isn't really, the point of what we're doing is not to necessarily catch a bunch. It's just to present basically a spinner bait that's a little bit different. That's basically how we're looking at it, right? So 20 pound, you know, good strong reel, a nice short rod. You know, again, I can't say enough great things about this Tequila Bacarrac for this type of fishing. Because again, we're not like bombing this thing out there. If we're fishing main lake points, open water, we're gonna fish this totally different. But this is tight little casts, specific little casts, and it's just a great, great combo. So next time you guys find yourself in the shallows, whether it's grass or wood or any kind of cover like that, and you just need an alternative to what you're doing, trust me, especially during the spawn and into post-spawn in early summer, this is just a combo that's just killer. Dolive Shad, HogFarmer, Mop Deuce, some 20 pound, you're golden. So give it a shot, guys.